God, if I have to take each and every one of you, I'm just keeping you all home with me forever. I've decided this is the only panel I need to get through my life. I'm taking all of you all home and keeping you all with me forever. Hi, my name is Priya Tanna. I'm the editor-in-chief of Vogue India, and thank you so much for joining me today for this webinar. Hope you've been enjoying the stellar lineup of masterclasses and videos that we've been putting together for you at the Vogue Beauty Festival. As with everything else, our relationship with beauty underwent a seismic change this year. Post-pandemic, our beauty habits, our shopping habits, the way we consume content, and our proclivity and relationship with wellness has all undergone a big change. This being Vogue's biggest virtual beauty outing would have been absolutely incomplete without getting insights from the creative entrepreneurs and industry leaders on where beauty is really headed in the post-pandemic world. So without further ado, let me begin by introducing you to my stellar lineup of panelists. I have with me first Karishma Manga Bedi of Forest Essentials. Forest Essentials, I remember, started in 2000 and now in a span of 20 years has 80 stores across the country, as well as a very fierce online presence. It's become synonymous with what it means to bring out a truly successful indigenous beauty brand. Beauty entrepreneur from the Forest Essentials family. She also, and I have to let you in on this, she also makes her own kajal. I mean, couldn't have chosen a better person to be there for this webinar. Hi, Karishma.
Hi, Priya. Thanks so much for having me here today.
Thank you for being a part of this. I'd now like to introduce you to Manish Bhagat, my next panelist, with over 13 years of experience in the business of beauty and a wealth of knowledge. He comes with a wealth of knowledge from the FMCG market. He is the GM and the country head of COTY India. So basically, if your tresses are beautiful and if your nails are strong, he may be the man to thank for, because he brings to you brands like Wella, System Professional and OPI. He leads a team of over 150 people. And honestly, Manish, I'm so excited to know and learn from you what are the insights you have gained through this pandemic and where do you feel the beauty industry is headed. So thank you for joining me, Manish.
Thank you, Priya. Thanks a lot.
Over to now my next panelist, Dr. Harshna Bijlani, the founder and medical director of the Ageless Clinic. She has been a Vogue Insider and a Vogue Beauty Award judge for years, and with good reason. Her holistic approach has truly revolutionized skincare and the way we look at aging. So thank you for joining me, Harshna. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Priya. The pleasure is all mine.
And then I move on to my next panelist, who's a bit of a celebrity himself. He's a holistic nutritionist who specializes in the field of integrative and lifestyle medicine. I'm so glad I got all of that in one go. His philosophy is based upon sleeping, exercising, and eating right. Well, so is mine, but it has not turned out the same way for me as it has for him. He has a clientele he can boast of that includes everybody from the most well-known professionals and celebrities to every other woman who just wants to know how she can boost her immunity the Luke Coutinho way. So thank you, Luke, for joining me today. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And I could have gone on and on about my final panelist today and said so many things about her. But in millennial speak, I will say that in a world full of influencers or so-called influencers, she is the OG. She is truly the original. She not only does she give the most brilliant and cool fashion and beauty tips, but she also uses social media as a strong engine for change. And that's what I really like most about her. She has founded Post for Change, which is a social change platform. and that sort of questions redundant ideas and notions of beauty. Couldn't have chosen for a better person to join us in this discussion today. Please give a warm welcome to my final panelist, Diipa Khosla. Hey Deepa, how are you?
Hey Priya, so happy. So happy to be here. Excited about today.
I'm really excited about today as well, I'm going to kick off with my first question. I'm not going to wait anymore. It's to Karishma. Karishma, tell me that, homegrown Indian brands have finally deserved the spotlight they've wanted for all these years. It's not just Forest Essentials and it's not just others. There's a whole plethora of indigenous brands that are now in the market. I personally feel that as with fashion, the post-pandemic world is going to see a rise in fashion nationalism. And by that I mean there is going to be this newer impetus, a fresher impetus to being Indian and buying Indian. Do you feel it's going to be the same for beauty?
So Priya, I do think that Indian beauty has really been on the rise now for the last couple of years. But what the pandemic has certainly done is that it has propelled this growth a little faster. The sentiment that I've really picked up of is been of returning to one's roots. So whether it's been us rushing back into kitchens to grab ingredients from the fridge which we eat but we'd also use on our skin and our body, or it's been a matter of calling up our parents and asking them about recipes of taking care of ourselves, considering that we've not had access to the things that we normally would have had access to. I think that the emotion has really been returning to one's roots. So Indian beauty, I feel, is here to stay. I also think that while the pandemic has affected a lot of businesses, as far as Indian beauty particularly is concerned, we've been very quick to adapt and we've really been listening in. And I think the ability to be robust while being authentic and accessible has really kind of empowered this entire space. So I feel that what we are seeing in fashion is also going to be something which is going to take a turn in beauty, and it is really going to be about returning to one's roots.
I did sense that even in the content that we were pushing out all through May, and digital is such a direct platform where you get feedback instantly. It's not like a magazine where you wait, and so much of the feedback that came our way was geared towards homegrown brands and this fresh support and endorsement for everything that's indigenous. So that's really an interesting direction, and I for one am all for it. Having said that, Manish, my next question really is to you. How did the pandemic affect your umbrella of brands, and how are you preparing for the post-pandemic world? Has there been a change in your strategy? Has there been a change in the thought process of how you will be consuming, how you will be communicating with the customer? I just want to get into that space with you.
Sure, Priya. So again, even prior to pandemic, we have already started our journey towards something what we call a safe beauty. And again, if you see, the beauty has been in a complete continuum, wherein it has gone much beyond from what it used to be, like a superficial beauty to a natural beauty to a personalized beauty, and now what we see is a safe beauty. And again, the ingredient consciousness has taken over it completely, and we have adapted to it very quickly. So for example, I'll give you a quick example. Right, so we have recently launched a completely new brand which is called Vidu, which is a eco-ethical brand, and the hero product or the hero ingredients of that is Cupuaçu butter, which is called as pharmacy in a fruit, which is the national fruit for Brazil. The importance of this is the way the consumers are looking at beauty. They want it to be hygienic, they want it to be safe, and they want the ingredient consciousness is coming in a big manner. So we have already started the journey prior to pandemic. Yes, the pandemic has impacted our business, but we are very sure the salon industry which we are in is highly resilient. And the way we have already started planning for our future in terms of revised protocols, giving consumer what they need in the newer world very quickly and effectively. So we've already started that journey, and once you will be visiting the salons along with all the colleagues, you will see that in action.
Well, Manish, I just thanked you for my hair. Because if there's something that has behaved itself during the pandemic, it's been my hair, thanks to you and your products. So well done there. I'm now going to go to Harshna. Harshna, over to you. I'm going to ask you, yours is such a tactile profession where you meet your clients, and I know this, that you have pivoted very successfully to these online consultations. Talk me through a little bit about that process. How has that been? How have your clients sort of, and I know you have a steadfast, strong sort of army of loyalists. So how have they sort of pivoted along with you? And is there any challenge you faced in this? Is there any new advantage you're seeing in doing this?
So, when lockdown started in March, we quickly realized we were getting messages from people starting on the first week of April, wanting to speak to us, wanting to know what to do, what to apply, what tablets to continue. So we very quickly realized that we have to move the digital way. And it's amazing what COVID does. My mother, who is 68, would perhaps not know anything about Instagram, not know anything about Zoom calls, WhatsApp calls, has also very quickly adapted to the situation. So I think COVID has just pushed us into this quick adaptability mode, which humans are known for. And what I found is I've been doing online consults from people from the age of 10, obviously with their parents, and my oldest is 75. So it's been wonderful, and I'm so grateful that I'm in the kind of medicine field where it's visual. I don't have to examine you. Like, I don't have to examine your lungs, for example, or feel your tummy. It's so visual that I can actually examine people on the call, on photographs, and be able to help them through the whole process. So people who don't want to come in, can't come in, maybe live in other countries or other cities, we've been so much more accessible to them. So in that sense, it's been great. It's opened a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities. And the ones that trust us, like you said, like our loyal clientele, and they just feel like we'll do the right thing, we'll take all the necessary precautions, which we have. And they have been coming to the clinic, and it's been good. And we learn every day and get better, I feel, in taking care of that every day.
I do agree. I mean, to give you an example, when we pivoted from being in an office, in a physical office, to working from home, and we managed to do that literally within 3 days, little did we realize that our lives were going to change forever. And now I almost don't know what it would be like to go back into a physical office. We've pivoted so successfully. This is just a part of our new work ethos, and I think you adapt, and you adapt for the better. But Luke, if there is one singular, and I hate using the word trend, if there's one singular movement that's come out of this pandemic, has been our need for wellness. And when I say the word need, I don't use it lightly. I mean, up until a certain point, wellness could have been a luxury. Wellness could have been an option. I don't think it's either of those two anymore. I think wellness is necessity. And I think the sooner we embrace it, the better it is for each and every one of us, especially during the pandemic. And I've seen different people pivot in different ways. What I want to ask you is, there's also been this new huge wave of digital wellness. What do you feel about it? What are your thoughts on it? And going forward, do you feel it is here to stay, or do you feel it was just temporary because of this entire lockdown situation?
It's great. I think it's here to stay, Priya. The moment COVID hit us, patients who would come to see us at our clinics, suddenly moved online because they need to get their treatments done. They need their prescriptions from our doctors. They need all of our treatments. So the entire business has actually moved online. Healthcare has moved online. And now what it's done is it's opened up doors. There are a lot of people across tier 2 and tier 3 cities across our country, and even the world. They're able to get in touch with us, because before it was an additional expense for people to travel down to Mumbai from around the country or even the world. But now everyone from Siberia to New York to Vietnam, they can all be in touch with us. And since we're into integrative medicine, we have medical doctors, we have oncologists, we have nutritionists. Everyone is connected, integrated on a digital platform. And it's actually making it easier for the patient, because we save their time. Because usually, let's say, for example, we manage cancer patients. They come to us, then they have to go to an oncologist, then they got to go to the radiologist. But now they get everything within 30 to 45 minutes in that one call without having to wait. I think digital wellness is here to stay. I mean, the only part that I miss and I see our patients miss is that physical connection, which I think
Yeah.
people are getting used to,
Yeah.
because that makes a huge difference when you can hold a patient's hand or you can pat them on the back and reassure them that their disease isn't really life-threatening. We miss that, but then the system is forcing us to try to transcend empathy through a digital medium. It may not be the same as a human touch, but it's getting there. We're learning to get better at that. And I think digital wellness is here to stay. There's no doubt about it. It's going to change the system of healthcare because, I mean, you need hospitals for physical treatments and all of that stuff, but a lot of it can actually be done. So right now, we work with several hospitals and they ask us to assess the patients first and only send them to the hospitals if required because the hospitals are all full right now. So in a way, it's kind of actually reducing the burden of the hospitals and of the healthcare system physically. So there's going to be a huge change. And if we look at this COVID positively, of course, there's a negative impact. I think a lot more talent is going to be able to be shared across the world through the digital platform and actually help turn sick care into healthcare.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, just the fact that if you've been listening into any of our master classes and tutorials during the Vogue Beauty Festival, the access we have to some of the greatest names in fitness, health, wellness, and beauty globally, that sort of access is incredible. I mean, I don't think one could have had that sort of access in person. But Luke, I couldn't agree more with you because I feel what this has done is it's made the entire world so much smaller. It's made us all come together and be so much more connected. But do you feel, Luke, that there is something lost in translation when one sort of tries to imbibe wellness over a digital platform? It's not the same as a beauty tutorial. It's not the same as a consult. I mean, wellness is also so much more internal. Do you fear that anything gets lost in translation over the medium of social media or over the digital media?
Not really. But what happens is, you have to plan your content very well because if you speak very generically on social media, a lot of people try to self-heal themselves. So, if there's someone who's sorted out their skin problems using a particular medication prescribed by an authorized doctor, and you have 100 people who just go and buy that medicine and start taking it. So a lot of self-medication, over-medication, and people trying to copy what other people are doing. So I really think, we should do master classes to controlled audiences. Disclaimers have to be set. We have to tell people what works for you doesn't have to work for someone else. So we really need to tighten up that system. Or we've already seen a lot of patients who have self-medicated themselves on, certain allopathic drugs, which have to be prescribed. So it can cause that kind of danger. So the system has to tighten up over there. But I think the ability to share is a lot more. Like in hospital, we'll probably get about 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes, sorry, maybe 3 to 5 minutes with a patient. But on a digital platform, we can possibly extend that to 30 to 45 minutes. So there are pros and cons, but I think since the system has forced us to be digital, it also helps us to bring out our creative sides to try to bridge these gaps. So everything is possible, but I think the part where physical examinations are necessary, a patient really needs that because a lot of physical examinations are now being done online. Where we ask them to put their hand over their liver and feel for inflammation. But then they don't have that confidence because they're doing it, but they would prefer a doctor or a medical professional to do that. So these are the gaps that we see right now, but I think it's going to improve. And like change is good for everyone, I think digital wellness could be the next big thing. And it could reduce the cost of overall wellness and healthcare to a huge degree as well.
I really hope so. But talking about content, Deepa, I know you have been so good with your content during this lockdown, but I also sense that you have changed directions. And I think all of us have, so that was pretty much inevitable. What was the sort of content your followers wanted from you? What were they reacting to? What did they want more of? And how did you change the way you present the content to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my content changed 180 degrees. And what happened was my majority of my content involved traveling. I was on a flight almost 2 to 3 times a week before COVID. And then when Corona first hit and then the lockdown hit, I remember instantly instantly feeling for the first couple of days very happy secretly, because I'm like, oh my God, now I don't have to get on a flight. I can just relax at home. But soon after, I think online and in my content calendar, I'm like, okay, now what? I'm not going to be posting about any events. I'm not going to be posting about fashion shows or, going to launches of beauty products. Like, what now? And I think instantly also in a personal way, I was becoming a much more conscious person in general, and much more opinionated about my activism, much more opinionated about my family. So I think in a way all I had to do was take out the veil of what an influencer had to be and just become me, and become more real in a way. So I think very soon after, on like day 3 of lockdown, I realized, forget the perfect feed, like forget the perfectly lit photo shoots, perfect, trips where your dress is flying the perfect way. And instantly, I think I pivoted to a very real version of myself. And when I mean real, it was all about showing my dogs, or, showing my husband, or what I'm cooking tonight with my mom on Zoom, or, and even with indie beauty and fashion, it became from, Dior dresses to sweatpants real quick. And when you say, what did people resonate with? Exactly that. Because I think for so long they'd seen this unattainable version of a human being, that they were like, how is that even possible? How do you look like that? How does your hair look like that? How does your makeup always look like that? And I think when we started showing them this is who I really am, and we're in this together, and it's so much more about family and goodness and wellness and self-care and self-love, that people resonated with that a lot. And like I break it down into 2 categories. So if anything is entertaining or anything is value giving, they were eating it up. Like they wanted more of that, because they're stuck in their houses too. And so they're like, either make me pass my time laughing or teach me something that I can take out of this period. And that's it. So if you would, or if I would create content that had one of those 2 buckets, they loved it. And that's what I did more of.
I think that could be applicable to our digital content as well. I mean, people kept coming and asking me that, are you going to ask people to go out and buy bags? And what are you going to do? You're a fashion magazine, you sell luxury. And I'm like, it's really not about that. It's not about telling a person what to buy and what not to buy. All I can do is influence a person and say, it's not about buying more or less, it's about buying better. It's about seeking value in what you buy. It's about ensuring that what you buy either does some good, or it can last the distance and go the distance for you. So versatility and value became 2 very, very important totem poles on which we hung all our content. So like you, either we were entertaining people or we were trying to teach them through masterclasses, through IG lives, through all of that. But I'm going to come back to you in a bit, Deepa. My next question is to you, Karishma. Karishma, the reason I'm coming back to you on this homegrown bit is because the minute one talks about the word homegrown, one sort of links it to the word sustainability. And again, I fear that sustainability is a much used, abused and misunderstood word. As far as Forest Essentials is concerned, how important is sustainability to your brand? And how do you include that, right from procurement to selling to marketing? What aspects of it are sustainable in terms of practice?
So Priya, you've said something which is so important right now. I think firstly that overall we're really moving to a place of mindful consumption right now, and sustainability is really at the heart of that. Today, it should no longer be a philanthropic quest, but really be an action that is put into place as far as businesses are concerned. And I think sometimes that word is used very loosely, whereas it should be used with tremendous responsibility. While at Forest Essentials, we've really tried to break down the life cycle of each of our products from end to finish, and really understand how sustainability impacts each of those dimensions. So when we talk about, procuring our ingredients, we work with small farmers and we give them some of our produce to grow, where they're growing this produce using eco-friendly, age-old technology use, and what they've done for their years and their ancestors have done before them as well. When it comes to manufacturing, we're using techniques and practices in our facilities which are done by hand and in the age-old methods. So if we talk about fermentation as an example, we're really putting it in earthen pots and then making sure that it's sitting in the earth, and that takes a certain amount of time. Production is managed in a manner where it is done as in small batches to really ensure that the end product being delivered to our customer is something that is extremely fresh and is made without any chemical additives and so on and so forth. In fact, our oldest manufacturing facility, which is in a small village called Lodsi in Uttarakhand, we just redid that, and that again has been made using all natural materials for construction that have been available. We've used indigenous techniques that have been used in Uttarakhand given the weather out there to build that facility, and we're doing solar harvesting, we're doing rainwater harvesting out there. So the facility again really speaks closely to what we believe is the ethos of the brand. Additionally, I think one needs to think about how the product reaches the consumer as well. So out here, we're worked on our e-commerce packaging, and we've ensured that it's absolutely sans plastic. It has no shrink wrap, no bubble wrap. We're using all recyclable, renewable sources in our packaging, and even in packagings of our product, it is our endeavor now to ensure that our bottles too become free of any virgin plastic and that they come from absolutely renewable or recyclable sources. So really, I think sustainability needs to be looked at as a very cyclic model versus looking at any one facet and ignoring the rest. And this needs to be a constant conversation, and it really requires a great sense of innovation from time to time.
Right. Well, that's wonderful, Karishma, and congratulations on adopting that. I sort of always knew that, the brand you guys have given to the world is one that is based on a lot of mindfulness. It's born of mindfulness, and I think that's a great story to tell. But Manish, over to you now. Are there any renewed sales and marketing strategies you guys have employed and adopted, given your understanding of how people have been consuming beauty in the past 5 months, and from your understanding of what lies ahead in the months to follow? That's my first question to you. And my second question to you is, what happens with respect to launches? Because I know that in the life of every beauty brand, your calendars are usually chock-a-block with lots of launches through the course of the year. Does this then become not the right time for a launch, or you do see a hidden opportunity in launching right now? I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
Sure, Priya. So again, I'll answer the second question first for you. I hope you don't mind that. So first, so again, that's a very important question because all the beauty brands are more into launches, getting new product to the consumer. So yes, the lockdown has had an impact, but again, we have come out of it. So just to give you a heads up, in July itself, which is just the last month, we did launch our biggest initiative for the year, which is the Vela Color Motion, which is a premium line which actually protects your hair and cares for it. So it's a post-color line. Similarly, on OPI, we have an initiative which are lined up. So we are not bringing our emissions down. In fact, the intent is to dial them up to ensure that consumer gets what they always wanted. So we are not changing our strategy from a number of launches point of view. Now moving on to the first one, which is what are we planning to launch? Is the sales and marketing strategy changing? Yes. And I will refer to your comments itself, which was that the consumer need to see value. So first, we have realized that in the post-pandemic world, consumer would be interested in, as I mentioned earlier, safe beauty, clean beauty, and as Karishma also mentioned, the sustainability angle. Right. So again, we are getting into the ingredient consciousness, which ingredients are used, what is this entire genesis of that, how it impacts the consumer, how their beliefs are impacted by the product. So we are taking that into account in a big manner. At the same time, remember, in the post-pandemic world, it's not only just the product, but even the packaging will play an important role. So we are looking at, for example, let's say during currently, let's say in a manicure, when you are using a nail paint, some of the consumers have come back and said that you are using the same nail brush on multiple consumer. Is it safe? Right, at that point of time we have to go back to our R&D and communicate that yes, from a communication point of view, is it safe or not. They came back, yes, it's safe, and then we went ahead with that. At the same time, we are evaluating if we can give actually a small nail paint free along with the manicure, so that consumer feels safe. So again, we are bringing safety into whatever we do. At the same time, on a sustainability bit, so how do we eliminate plastic? So we have already started working on smaller packs which can be used at or if I have to say monodose packs which can be used by consumers, as well as we are eliminating past plastic. So from a sales and marketing, we are understanding how consumers are evolving, what are their new choices, and we are just diverting slightly from our old strategy to the new world, which is much more around sustainable and safe.
Right. But I also feel like with everything you're saying, it also seems like one of the jobs and tasks at hand is to educate the consumer, because like you said, with even a small thing like them wanting to understand if reusing a nail paintbrush is safe, this also means that there is so much of educating to do. There is so much of trying to help them understand what it means to have this new relationship with beauty. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes, and that's the reason why we are leveraging. And again, it has been an evolving theme, and it will accelerate further. We would leverage influencers because they provide the authentic voice about the product rather than a brand speak. We will be going ahead with the influencer across spectrum. So they need not be only beauty influencers. They can be across beauty, wellness, chefs, and other if I have to say other spectrum, which are authentic and the way the consumer perceives them in the real spectrum. So we'll be pivoting towards that in a big manner.
Right. Harshna, my next question is actually for you. All our timelines were flooded with people baking banana breads and sourdoughs. And honestly, it's turned me off both for the rest of my life. But my question to you is, what is the banana bread equivalent of skincare? What is the sourdough equivalent of skincare? What was it that people were coming to you with? What sort of emerged as the singular largest concern people had with skincare during lockdown? The kind of concerns they have, are they any different now than what they was earlier? Because I know people would come to you with routine problems like pigmentation and eczema and all the things that you normally deal with. But was there anything new that sort of emerged as a repeat pattern?
I think the three main things that I felt most of my consultations were about was acne. People who never had acne were just getting acne. Whether it was because they were exercising at home, it was humid, their diets, people were sleeping. I had a patient who was sleeping at 5 o'clock in the morning and waking up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, eating all sorts of rubbish. So I would say acne was number one. The second was hair fall. It just seemed like everyone had hair fall. My hair is falling. So I think that was second. I found I think they were pulling their hair in frustration. Yeah, I'm sure. With their kids, like that was me with my kids, of course, with the homeschool. It's quite a stressful situation and a time that we were just thrust into without any pre-warning. And I think all of us went through, at least I went through the stages of, how you go through your denial and your shock and then you sort of get used to it. And people, some bounded a lot quicker and some are still reeling with the fact that we're in the situation that we're in. So right. I found hair fall was a big thing. I also found people doing a lot of diets, like just trying everything, because now they have the time. They're sitting at home and let's try this diet and let's try that diet. And my friend lost so much with this, so I'm going to try this and I'm going to starve to death. And, I found a lot of that. And how I came to know about that is because they were coming with other issues. They were coming with issues of hair fall. They were coming issues with sagging skin and suddenly developing dark circles because of volume loss. And I would say the fourth thing, and I have to say this because I did see a lot of it, was this DIY stuff, and everyone was trying something new. So something that someone recommended, some cream, some home remedies. And I actually had a patient who burnt her face because she used lemon juice. Didn't realize that you need to wash it off, and she was sitting in her balcony and doing some breathing or whatever. And people don't realize that just because something is in your fridge, something that's organic, doesn't necessarily mean that it may not react with you. You have to really be very conscious about your skin and understand all of us are very different people. Today, my skin may be a little bit more sensitive than yours. So I think it's really important that people need to be really responsible about what they try. I found people using a lot of mechanical exfoliation, so a lot of those scrubs or taking anything at home and mixing it with stuff and scrubbing their faces, and it just led to so much pigmentation. So I think the skin needs to be treated with love and respect. You know, it's a very delicate organ, and honestly, the older we get, the less forgiving our skin is. So if an acne used to go without a mark when we were 18, 19, at the age of 45, it's going to just take that much longer, and it's probably going to leave a little mark. So you really have to be a little bit more responsible with your skin and your skincare.
But do you feel all the indoors, the fact that all of us were indoors, brought about some very tangible changes to people's concern with their skin? I know you talked about acne, and I know a lot of people who asked me about rashes they had from the masks that they were wearing, and I also know about the hair care. But was there anything specific to being locked down in a home, in being not being outdoors? Did that affect people and their skin in a way?
So I think most of us, out of choice or out of compulsion, were cooking, right? So some people didn't have their help coming in, so they were in the kitchen. Some of us were baking with our kids because what to do with them for 24 hours, right? I mean, it's crazy, and you have to entertain them and do something with them, and hours would go by in trying to mix the mixture. So it was a great pastime. But people sitting, standing in their kitchens in the humidity, having the steam of cooking food, all of that clogging, people exercising. Most people were used to going to gyms or going to a Pilates class in the AC, perhaps. A lot of people were exercising in the heat of their house, and that just led to a lot of clogging and a lot of issues to the skin, from sensitivity to pigmentation to acne to a lot of things. So yeah, I think this particular situation of being at home opened a whole bunch of other things which people didn't even realize could happen to them.
Right. And that's really important. And that same question, actually, Luke, I would like to ask a similar question to you, which is that you continued with all your online consults and everything. For your clients, was there anything new that they were coming back to you with? Did you see a sort of trend or a pattern emerging with respect to being in a lockdown, with respect to wellness and immunity and health and food? What were the trends that sort of you noticed?
Right, Priya, so it worked two ways. We had a lot of people who before lockdown could never lose weight. They continue to have hormonal imbalances because of lack of sleep, social life, eating 10 meals in a week outside in restaurants. But all of that changed once they came into lockdown. People were forced to eat home food. Then they had the luxury of more sleep. So the sleep deprived people before lockdown possibly started sleeping better with lockdown. People who were missing their workouts because they're stuck in traffic, can't get to the gym in time after work, had the luxury of time to work out. So we actually saw a lot of people who were stuck with several health goals start to get better. But we also saw the opposite happen to a lot of other people because now they had the luxury of time. So they started, watching, Netflix, all of that stuff till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And if you're awake that long, like Dr. rightly pointed out, they start junking. So we saw a lot of people also lose their health. And we saw people, like she rightly pointed out, everyone's consuming more content now. So if they see someone lost weight, everyone's on a fad diet plan, or they're trying to work out at home, do exercises that they've never done before. And there's a lot of injury happening. We have a lot of people who require physiotherapists right now because they've got injured using their own body weight at home. So we've seen both. There are benefits, there are pros and cons of the lockdown happening. But I think it's really changed people holistically. A lot of people who thought that they need socializing, socializing is good for all human beings, but there are a lot of people who are overdoing it. A lot of people overdoing eating out in restaurants all the time. A lot of people coming home at different timings every night because there's always something to do in the city or wherever you are. Now people have begun to realize that, we don't need that. We don't really need that. A lot of people have realized that this new way of life, we feel better. We're feeling more connected. Like Dr. rightly said, parents are spending more time with their kids, baking with them. And now when I ask my patients, because we focus a lot on stress and emotional wellness as well, a lot of people are way happier, way happier. Yeah, there are stresses of uncertainty, business, all of that stuff. But still at the end of the day, people are saying we feel more connected with ourselves, with our families. And, so there are pros and cons of everything. And I really think that it comes down to human motivation. We have people who before lockdown couldn't change their lifestyles. During lockdown, they're saying we'll wait for lockdown to end so that we can go to the gym. That's a lie. They couldn't go to the gym even before. So I really think it comes down to human motivation and discipline. And whatever we're doing, whether there's lockdown, whether we have a restriction in the amount of, food we can get, the doctors we can access right now, there's always human motivation to keep us going with the things that we have. Like I always say, it doesn't matter how much we have. What matters is what we do with what we have. So these are commonalities that we've seen, but it's really made people more aware of what is important to them. What is important to them. A lot of people who were depressed before lockdown, are now finding their path. And a lot of people who can't deal staying at home, and a lot of family issues, have kind of erupted because people are spending more time with one another. So those people move into depression. So you see, there's no better or worse. It's just a very interesting statistic of information that keeps coming to us of how the lockdown suits some people and they don't. But like I said, to bring that change, it only comes down to discipline, motivation, and really looking after yourself, irrespective of what life throws you.
I couldn't agree with you more, because honestly, the person you were talking about was me before lockdown. And I fit that bill beautifully. I feel like somewhere this has been the universe's way of telling all of us that we lived in an age of excess, constantly on a treadmill that refuses to stop, and by choice, doing it by choice. The number of times we've all told people, oh, I'm so tired, I'm fatigued, I'm burnt out, but then we do it to ourselves. It is something that we take upon ourselves and then complain about it. And I think what the lockdown has done is it's forced us to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward and reassess how we've all been living our lives. But on that note, Luke, what would you say were your top 3 tips for boosting immunity across all ages? Because as we know, immunity became probably the most important factor in keeping good health during these past 5 months. So what would you say have been your top 3 tips?
So I think in a way for me and my team, COVID, the most positive aspect of the COVID is bringing immunity as a buzzword. See, immunity has always been important for us, from the time we're born right up till now, but it took an entire virus to hit the world to make people understand the importance of immunity. So when people ask me this question, which they have a lot, I'm not going to talk about foods. I'm not going to talk about anything, because even with the simplest food that even people on the roadside eat, they're able to maintain immunity. What I like to talk about is the things that we should stop doing that is actually pushing our immunity down. So number 1 is stress. We all know that. You can eat organic food throughout the day, but if you are stressed, it messes up your hormones. If your hormones are messed up, your immune system goes right down. I mean, everything is based on your hormonal balance. So we knew not little stress. I'm not talking about acute stress, day-to-day stress, meeting targets. All of these things are good for us. I'm talking about chronic stress. A lot of people in our world today living with chronic stress, resentment, guilt, bitterness, inability to forgive. A lot of people stuck in toxic relationships that they don't like anymore, working jobs they don't like. So this is chronic stress. This decreases your immunity irrespective of how much you work out or how well you're eating. The second is sleep. The first thing I ask even before nutrition is your sleep, because we know today it's medically proven, scientifically proven that 3 to 4 nights of sleep deprivation decreases your immune function by 60 to 70%. 60 to 70% reduction in your immune system is enough for a cancer cell to mutate into a full-grown cancer. That's how dangerous it is. So we need to look at sleep. Then comes your exercise. The more sedentary you are, the more depressed your immune system is, because everything works on blood circulation. You want your skin to glow, you want your hair to grow, you want your immune system to be strong. It requires blood circulation, because blood carries oxygen from the air that we breathe and food, nutrients from the food that we eat to trillions of cells. So you can have the best diet, but if you're not enabling blood circulation, it's literally useless. Most people are eating well, but they're not assimilating and absorbing most of the nutrients. So then we work on their exercise. We try to get them at least a little bit active, even 30 minutes. And then you come down to your nutrition. There is no magic superfood that if I eat right now, I will push up my immunity. That's a lie, that's a myth. But there's a combination of different nutrients from food. So if I'm taking turmeric, am I also getting a good fat, like a coconut oil or a ghee to go along with that? And I need black pepper to make it absorb well. So you see, it's a synergy of food. People are just popping turmeric pills and curcumin pills, and it's doing nothing for them. If I'm going to use garlic and I'm going to use onion, what am I combining it with? I can make garlic and onion a powerful immune booster if I'm cooking it lightly, or I cut the garlic, I leave it exposed to air for about 3 to 4 minutes to activate allicin that boosts your immune system. And then I cook it with a little bit of tomato. Cooked tomato is healthier than raw tomato, example. So you see, it's the synergies of food that work for us. Then you have your ginger. You know, we live in a country where the Indian garam masala is like a superfood. Every single spice in an Indian garam masala is the highest on the antioxidant list, which plays a huge role with lowering inflammation and boosting immunity. And then you have your fruits and your vegetables. But if people are on fad diets, you know, today there are fad diets that tell people not to eat fruits and not to eat vegetables. So they may lose weight, but then, like Dr. rightly said, their skin is sagging, they have acne, pigmentation problems, all of that stuff. So if you ask me, immunity is simple. It is very, very simple. If we're having a balanced diet, we're getting our fruits, our nuts, our seeds, our legumes, our lentils, our whole grains, quality food, the right proportion, the right quantity, eaten at the right time, digested the right way. Everyone has the intelligence in their body to generate a very strong adaptive immune system. And so when you couple your nutrition with your exercise, with your sleep and your emotional wellness, that's all it takes to have a solid immune system. And that's what we're trying to encourage people. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
The whole package. So what you're really saying is it doesn't work in isolation. There is no magic solution. There is no one magic tonic or drink. It's actually a combination of various good practices which, when come together, build a strong immune system. Right. Deepa, what I want to ask you next is, you know, again, everybody is a beauty influencer in these days, sadly. But what do you think is the role of a content creator like yourself and an influencer like yourself with respect to marketing beauty products? In your mind, are there certain products that you would not endorse? How do you sort of talk me through the process of how you select a brand you will endorse, and how mindful are you of the brands you choose to work with?
Yeah, really good question. I think now more than ever, it's extremely important the type of brands you work with, the type of brands you endorse, because, you know, like someone was saying earlier as well, consumers are extremely conscious. They are almost as smart as the chemists that make these products now. They know every ingredient, they know what's going in. More than that, I think also in general, there's a general consensus that the world, people are activists themselves. So they're looking into things like, does the product test animal testing? Is it cruelty free? Is it sustainable? Like, us as influencers, but also I think consumers are extremely conscious of that. And as an influencer, if you don't do that, so for people who don't do that, you're called out. There's no hiding behind a bush. Like, instantly they're like, oh, are you working with so-and-so brand? Did you know that they do so-and-so thing? So I think even the influencers who don't, you know, consciously choose the brands, they're being called out, so they eventually have to as well. So it's like it's a cycle of either are you as an influencer being the trendsetter to show the right kind of branding, or are your followers telling you to choose the right kind of branding? For me personally, absolutely. I think everyone who follows me on Instagram knows what a big follower I am of, you know, the trend of being more real, the trend of sustainability. And I call it a trend because it's really come in the forefront these days, but I think it's here to stay. Of more just conscious consumption and conscious using of what is best for me, what is best for my body, what is best for the world, what is best for climate change in general. And there's so many things to consider. So I think the pressure is really on the brands to step up to this new kind of consumption, a new kind of world where we want it all. We want you guys to think about ingredient sourcing. We want you to think about sustainability. We want you to think about animal testing. And I think in general, for me personally, I really, really look to brands' mission, their statements, and what they're actually doing to change if they didn't have that mission or statement. And really talking to, you know, the PR people, the marketing people, and give me, like, show me what you're really doing to change, to step up to the plate. And if not, unfortunately, I don't endorse them, because it is just as sad as that. Like, profits and, you know, beauty brands doing things just for profits don't cut it anymore. And especially, you know, with the whole wellness thing, it's also, we really want to know, like, I personally want to know the ingredients in brands way more than just the name of the brand now. Because if I promote skincare, sometimes I will promote brands that I have never heard of before, because I know they've used a certain retinol in the right percentage that is higher than the percentage a well-known brand has used, and it comes from a more ethical source. So it's really indeed the conscious thinking behind each product, behind the brand's mission, behind let's leave this world a little bit of a better place with everything we do, and let's change the way we shop in general. Like what you were saying earlier, Priya, even with fashion, with beauty, it's all about, let's do something that's for the better of the world and for the better of yourself. And if they check those boxes, then I endorse them. Yeah.
And you know, I also feel, and I don't know if you face this, but we often face, I don't even know if it's an accusation or a taunt, but people often consider fashion and beauty as vain professions. And the truth of the matter is that I consider both of them to be extremely humanitarian professions. They are two professions which employ a large number of people, provide livelihood, and it is one of the strongest forms of creative expression of self. I mean, whenever there's been a political, economic, sociocultural crisis, I feel industries like fashion and beauty have been so reflective of that. People have pivoted so easily. And I think it's always held a mirror to the times that we live in. Would you agree? Would you agree? Do you feel that even with the content you put out now? Will this change your relationship for the years to come? Will you be doing anything differently, Deepa, that you didn't do prior to the pandemic? Has there been any one singular big learning for you? I know you've always been mindful of the content you put out there, but has there been any learning for you that you could share with everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me personally, Instagram and content creation has become so much more real, like I said last time as well. And the one big lesson that I will take with me for the coming years would be to show a more real version of yourself than that indeed perfect version of yourself. And when it comes to my beauty, my skincare, like I have personally myself as well made it kind of more that, you know, less makeup is better, more skincare is better. It's become this overarching concept of be you and be more of the real you. Don't try to change yourself, embrace yourself, and that your difference and the way you look that makes you look different is what's unique. Instead of, you know how back in the day everyone wanted to look like a clone of Kim Kardashian and doing the exact same contouring and the exact same la la la. I think right now more than ever the world has seen that your difference is your superpower. Like you looking a certain way, having a certain skin tone, not wanting to all become a clone of each other. And this kind of, you know, woke Gen Z generation where they're all like, I am who I am, take it or leave it attitude is really in the forefront. So the people who are being more vulnerable, more real, showing that version of themselves, also with their skin, also with their beauty, with their makeup, they're the ones who are shining through. And the ones that are still trying to, you know, copy the trends and kind of be exactly what their favorite celebrities are doing are the ones that people are just not relating to anymore. So the one lesson I would take forward would be educate my followers more. So education has become a really big pillar of what I do, and just show them the more real you. And it's surprising, but people think that's such an easy thing to say, be real, be you. But that is actually super hard, because you're opening up your vulnerability and truly showing them who you really are, when for the last 5 years you've been hiding behind a facade of perfection, which you have learned very well to create with like angles and lighting and everything. And now just being like, this is bare me, and this is bare me without makeup, and this is bare me without anything. And yeah, and people just love that so much. So the future is very bright. It's about, yeah, people owning who they are and trying not to change themselves. So that's very exciting.
That's some really powerful stuff there, Deepa. Good on you. Good on you. Karishma, I want to come back to you. Did you see, a surge in demand for any one product over the others? Because when I also feel that that's such a telling sign, right? If you see that the sales for a particular product particularly shoot up and go off the roof, then you know that it is also indicative of what people want. And that's really where I'm trying to get at. So was there any one product offering from the Forest Essentials stable that saw a higher demand as compared to the others?
So Priya, I want to answer that with really the shift that we're seeing in people's mindset, right? I think for some time now, we've had this mantra in the beauty industry about look good and feel good. But I feel that really with this pandemic, the aspect of feel good has really got further enhanced. People today have time on hand, which they've not had before, to really take care of themselves. And self-care really has become a very, very important aspect during this time period. And additionally, I also feel that, we've been craving for indulgences which we would otherwise indulge in, be it going to a salon or to a spa, and we have not been at liberty to do any of those things. So we've seen a real big shift across categories in many different manners. So skincare is an example where people previously were only using 2 steps in their routine. Today have really expanded that a lot more and are using possibly 4 to 5 different products as a part of their daily regime. And then there are many others that account for a weekly regime. When it has come down to hair care versus just using a cleanser and conditioner at home, today we've got time and we're making the effort to oil our hair and mask our hair and then cleanse it. And we've done the same as far as the body care category is concerned, in terms of ensuring that the bath doesn't only feature a soap or a shower wash, but we want to have the body scrub that is included in it, or a bath and shower oil. So we've really seen a big shift in all these categories as such. Skincare still being the largest. Our Saundarya serum is literally never available. No matter how quickly we make it, there's always a waiting list of more people to coming in to buy that. And the Rose Body Polisher, I feel, has been one of the most iconic products, because anyone who has bathed with that, literally it's like being enveloped by that strength and very much a spa experience. So really, I think that the product categories have had a massive shift during this time as well.
That is really interesting, and it's so telling, right, Karishma? It also tells you the certain direction of what people really want right now. But my next question is to you, Manish. You guys partnered with, y'all announced a strategic collaboration with Kim Kardashian West, yes, Deepa, and Kylie Cosmetics in 2020. And COTY India announced Wella as a standalone portfolio, if I'm right. Can you elaborate a little bit on your agenda for partnerships in India? I would love to see an Indian partnership with Wella or OPI or COTY. I mean, how exciting would that be? So what is your agenda for partnerships to come out of India?
So first, again, from a partnership point of view, we have always been open. And again, in fact, just to give you a perspective, in 2013, we had a OPI India collection, which was essentially about capturing about the essence of India. From Indian partnership, from a celebrity point of view, at this point in time, we continue to explore whatever opportunities are there. And once we have anyone which essentially resonates exactly with the ethos of the brand, we would be more than open to actually get into a strong partnership, not only at an Indian level, but again taking it to again the global level as well. So that will always be the case, like it has been with Kardashians for the current fiscal.
Okay. My next question is to you, Dr. Bijlani. If you had to cap off for me and tell me what will be the mainline headline trends in 2021, I'm fast forwarding a bit in skincare and hair care and anti-aging. What would you think they were? What would you think they will be? Where will be the main focus areas? What will be the main focus area?
I think, like Karishma rightly pointed out, a lot of people have the time. A lot of people have realized that they were just rushing about their life, putting a lot of makeup on their face and covering things which they perhaps didn't want to see or saw, but just felt makeup was just an easier thing to do. But now that they're at home, they're actually looking at themselves in the mirror and they're seeing, I have this blemish, or I have these under eye dark circles, or the quality of my skin doesn't look that great. Let me start working on myself. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I've seen. I've seen people who've gone shopping online, are reading a lot of stuff about skincare, buying a lot of stuff, and spending that time doing a lot of steps which they normally would not have done. Having said that, there's another side to it. What I've also seen is people, for example, somebody with sensitive skin did a Korean double cleanse, used a cleanser and used a foaming cleanser on top. Now, they've read about it, sounds brilliant when you read about it, but it's not for you. So I think, in this quest of I want to be all, I want to do all, I want to see all, I want to experience all, people are just getting a little bit over enthusiastic and doing maybe a bit too much for their skin. So I think somewhere along the way, because there's so much bombardment of everything online and on social media, people are suddenly feeling like soldiers and just like getting to the war and let me do everything and I'm gonna do and come out like amazing. But I kind of tell them, look, you need to tone down. You need to not just go by reviews. You need to not just go by which brand is giving you free stuff, for example, or which packaging looks fabulous because it's more expensive, it has to be great for my skin. But you need to really know what's right for you. And to be honest, it's something that we've been doing for 10, 12 years. We've used thousands of products. We understand what each combination does and what works and what doesn't work. And that's actually what led us to set up something called Ageless Express. We just launched it yesterday. And it's purely doctored, tailored skincare. So for example, let's say, Priya, you saw this amazing anti-aging cream, okay, of this particular brand online. And you're like, I'm not sure, will it go with my skin? Will it not? Okay, I've read all these reviews, 4.5 stars, but there's still a 0.5 star, which doesn't give me the right vibes. What do? You just call us. We do an online consult. We don't charge for this. And we'll guide you whether this thing is good for you or not. Or let's say your budget, not everyone can spend thousands and thousands of skincare, right? So say your budget is a certain amount and you just feel, look, in this budget, what is a 500 rupee sunscreen that I can use, which will protect me, which is a physical sunscreen as opposed to chemical. Now, sure, I may have all the time to read about this and have that intellect to understand it, or it just goes above my head. I don't understand the difference between a chemical and a physical and what's UV and what's UVB and now what's the blue light filter, and everyone's just getting lost in this whole jargon of so much. And that's when they can actually, touch base with us and we can recommend that for you. So, that really led me to start this because I just really feel that people are just getting very lost and people are just getting excited, and retinol is like the key word and everyone wants to use retinol because retinol is going to change everything. But we need to understand that there's so many grades of it and there's so many types of it, and there's tretinoin and people are just going and buying these tretinoin tubes and using it and peeling their whole faces off. So really, it's amazing and it's fun to be on that journey, but you really need to take baby steps and understand and need that little advisory, I feel, and that's what we are hoping to help people with.
I love the sound of Ageless Express. Congrats, Harshna. I think that's such a great value that you're adding. It's almost like a skincare consumer cell. it's like if you have grievances and if you have questions, where do you go? And I know like every other woman has many questions. I mean, it's so important to have that place where you can get this advice to sort of customize and tailor fit to your life, your budget, your expectations, and all of that. But tell me a little bit about the surge in non-surgical procedures, literally like retinol. If retinol is the sourdough, then non-surgical procedures is the banana bread. Again, hearing way too much about it. So do you want to just give us your opinion on it? And
so let me tell you something. We may have gone through this phase of, self-search and, connecting with yourself and accepting a lot of things. But at the end of the day, we live in a society where looking a particular way is what works for a lot of people. And also my concern, it doesn't matter. I'm not doing it for the world. I'm doing it for myself. For example, if I hate the hair on my chin or my upper lip, I want to get it out. It's not a big deal. It's not life-changing. It's not, it's not life-threatening, but I want to do it for myself. I want to be able to see myself without that. For example, I have a double chin. I don't want to go under the knife right now. I don't want to have general anesthesia. I don't want to be cut up. I don't want to be sitting at home recovering when I actually want my immune system to be there for, God forbid, if anything happens. You do a non-invasive machine to get rid of that. So I do feel the trend is increasing. People are coming in, and also for aesthetic procedures like injectables or machines to lift and tighten the skin. I do feel for a lot of people, like I said, they're sitting at home without their makeup and they've suddenly realized that I have so many scars which I used to just cover. And I had a patient the other day who said, doc, whenever I've gone out, I've never realized that I had scars. And if you looked at her it was, so many scars, but she just never saw that because she was just so busy layering it. So she's like, doc, can you help me with my scars? And I was like, of course, we'll help you. So I do feel there always was a demand for non-surgical, but I feel now more and more people are scared to have surgery, at least for this time, so they are going to be doing more non-surgical stuff. And of course, technology, right? Technology is so great. There's so many new things coming in, So yeah, it's safe.
right. What I'm getting from each one of you is it's almost as if I've picked up one strong message, one strong keyword from each and every one of you of where beauty really is headed in 2021. And it just feels so good to know that we're going in the right direction. Well, Luke, my question next is to you that of course, this is a beauty webinar and there's been so much talk of beauty and all of that, but beauty and health and wellness go hand in hand, like we've discussed over the course of the past 1 hour, that both are symbiotic, both share a close synergy. So how do you feel one impacts the other? And do you have any suggestion, any advice, any wisdom that you can share on that with the followers?
So Priya, beauty and health have always been interconnected with each other, and we need to understand that at a root cause level. Because like Dr. Bijlani rightly said, you can go on layering and, covering up scars on your face. You can keep removing hair. But in the first place, I would want to know, why is that hair growing? Do you have excess testosterone in your body? That tells me you have a hormonal imbalance. Today, it's just hair growing on your face. Tomorrow, that hormonal imbalance is growing a cyst in your ovary, a fibroid in your breast. So we have to understand that it is important for a woman to look good, a man to look good. These are personal things, whether it's for vanity or your own personal, wish. But I think we have to go beyond that. We have to address the root cause of everything. Like we always say that, there are products, fantastic products in the market that can make your skin glow, your hair better, but it's an inside out approach. Like, you can have a plant that's growing and you can keep polishing the leaves, spraying it with, everything to make it look beautiful on the outside. But if you're not feeding the roots of the plant, at some point, how much more are you going to keep spraying it? So I think, there's a whole ecosystem of great products and creams and all of these things, which should be sustainable, chemical-free, environment-friendly, and most importantly, safe for the consumer. But along with that, it is what you feed yourself. If you have a hormonal imbalance, how many years of your life are you going to constantly keep covering up acne, going through those, lows every time you get a new pimple, or you can't go out because your face is all messed up? So I really think we have to look at both spectrums. One is your health. my nutrition. What am I feeding myself? The more junk, the more sugar we eat. Where we deal with models and actresses all the time who have messed up their lives during their initial careers. They don't want to put on weight, so it's just cigarettes and coffee, because that's how you don't feel hungry, and that's how you can stay good for the camera and all of that stuff. But after 5 to 10 years, they have severe GERD and acidity and a complete mess up, and we're repairing those cases, and it takes 3, 5, 6 months, sometimes even a year, to repair the damage that poor lifestyle did to them. And in that journey, then they start learning, let me start balancing everything. It's not just about products on the outside. It's also about what I feed myself. Sleep. Like, you can't cover up, that's why they call it your beauty sleep, because when you have a deep, a good night of restful, deep sleep, number one, you wake up feeling like $1 billion. Number two, it's how you look. Half the women and men who wake up have puffy eyes and puffy skin and water retention, and they just want to boil coriander seeds as a diuretic or take diuretics to flush out water. But all they needed was good sleep, because the more you keep waking up with saggy skin or puffy skin because of water retention, the older your skin is getting. And that's why a lot of young women and men, they're in their 20s, but they look like they're 40. They're in their 40s, but they look like they're 60. So we have to understand that it is interconnected. And there's no magic cream. Like I said, there's no magic food alone. There's no magic cream or magic shampoo. It's a combination of everything. If you don't work out, what's the point of all the creams that you put? Your skin is an eliminatory organ. Every time you sweat, you detoxify. Your skin has to be, healthy. And a lot of people use the wrong cream, blocks their pores from breathing. And now they have new issues. So yes, beauty, wellness, everything is interconnected. I mean, the human body is an intelligent mechanism. Okay, you can't just take a Band-Aid, like a drug, and put a Band-Aid on a symptom and expect the person to heal. You can't take a cream and cover up an acne and say you're going to get better. You can't just eat garlic and say I'm going to be healthy. It's everything together. It is your lifestyle and everything that you fit in, the right quality, the right time, the right quantity, the right advice, everything together that really makes beauty work inside and outside.
My God, if I have to take each and every one of you, I'm just keeping you all home with me forever. I've decided this is the only panel I need to get through my life. I'm taking all of you all home and keeping you all with me forever. Just decided that right now, Luke. That's been my epiphany through the course of this webinar. And my last question really is to you, Deepa, which is so much talk of India, so much talk of Indian brands, so much talk of collaborations. When am I seeing you collaborating on your own line of cosmetics or skincare? It's only a matter of time, right, Deepa?
Yeah, Priya, you put me on the spot. But no, yes, it is only a matter of time, because I truly, what every single one of you have iterated this last hour, I 100% believe everything you guys are saying. The future of beauty is very exciting. The future of holistic beauty, like Luke was saying, that wellness is connected with the food you eat, with beauty, with stress, with working out. I am 100% firm believer in all of that. And also what the doctor was saying about expert opinion, about really like knowing what you're putting on your skin, but having experts to help you through the process, all of it. So I cannot say much, Priya. I don't know why you do this to me, but I would love to do something in the future that brings all of these elements together and really indeed build a brand or work with a brand that is the future of beauty as we see it, and do it in a very digital native way, a very sort of, Gen Z millennial way that makes it fun to be part of the future of beauty.
You would be perfect. The reason I brought it up is because you would just be the perfect face for it, Deepa. With everything you stand for and all that, I know you convey through millions of your followers all the time through your posts. I feel the time is right for you to be doing that. But I think I've overshot my time because I got so carried away and so excited with all this information coming my way. But if I had to sort of cap it off and bottle today's conversation, I'd say that some of the key learnings for me, and I hope that the same learnings have been for you who are watching this, that I think beauty, we can safely say that the beauty, health and wellness industry is in good hands, and that it looks like the direction we are going to follow is going to be one which is going to have a lot more customized beauty, real beauty. That beauty can't really exist in isolation, and that beauty, health, and wellness are a combined package, and one needs to address all three of them together. And that the next time you buy a beauty product, whether it is homegrown or whether it is an international product, you will be seeking value from what you're buying. You will be looking at its worth and how it fits into your life and your routine. And on that note, I'd just like to thank each and every one of our panelists. You guys were stellar, you guys were illuminating, you guys were insightful, and I couldn't really have asked for a better lineup of people to share and have this webinar with. So Karishma, Deepa, Harshna, Luke, and Manish, big thank you from Vogue India and me from the bottom of my heart for doing this webinar. Thank you for your time and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Love you.